Here we
Good
go.
morning and welcome to the cruise of the Chicago Bears.
I think Andy's having some technical
Okay,
difficulties here.
all right.
Yes, this is the Krewe NFC Roundtable. Andy's over there. Mike Stout's down there, depending on how we look on screen. I'm Packerbacker Brian. Welcome to week 10 of the football season. We've got some matchups. At least a couple of us here have a matchup against each other. I wouldn't even call it a matchup if you want my opinion. But there's currently a game going on. How about we just go ahead and jump into the NFC South real quick? Let's just get this over with, huh? Do we have anything to say about this?
Yeah, I do. Hey,
right.
they suck. All right, let's move on. Mike's not here to talk about how good the Bucs are when they suck. So I think we just move on.
And if anybody's wondering, or if you're watching, I'm sure like a lot of the Tampa crowd's watching the game. It is the Bucs and Seahawks in Germany. I do not have an update on the score of the game.
0-0 still.
Oh.
2 minutes to go in the first.
Okay, there's your live update.
So
it might be a really good game. I wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Think the Seahawks can pull it off?
I kind of want them to. Could be kind of nice.
Yes.
Yes. Well, anyways, right. we'll give you updates as we go if we can.
Think about it like this: you got Tom Brady, of course, in all of his infinite age and glory, all 100 and something thousand passing yards, having some personal issues at home and stuff like that. You're going to a different country, different time zone, stuff like that. If anybody's going to be able to actually adjust, it'll probably end up being Brady. But the difference is Will Smith. His resurgence within, the organization, and I don't know, they've got a pretty good chance of actually pulling that one out over the Buccaneers, the vaunted Buccaneers.
The one thing that I've always learned about Pete Carroll is he always has his team prepared for any kind of travel. I mean, look at his record when he has to travel all the way out on the East Coast, because he has this formula of how he gets his team set up, and they always seem to play well. So I wouldn't doubt a Pete Carroll coach team in this situation.
No, the Bucs having the troubles they are, it's sets it up for the Seahawks being able to pull it out over there. But you still have Tom Brady for some reason.
Let me ask you this. How is the Tampa Bay Bucs team?
Did you say run game?
I think he broke up again.
Yeah, he broke up again. Well, anyways, let's put it this way. It should be interesting to see what Geno does against the defense of the Bucs. I think the Bucs are starting to get maybe slightly healthier. That was a big win they had last week, and to see the emotion on Tom Brady, it kind of makes me wonder if he's actually finally mentally back with everything. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. He must have meant to type that to himself.
Yeah.
Anyways. And Thursday night, Carolina beat the Falcons.
He didn't put anybody's.
He didn't put anybody's name up there. I know.
Yeah, I know. Well, anyways, Carolina beat the Falcons 25-15, and I mean, Mariota should have thrown 8 interceptions that game. Let's just be honest. That game was crap, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So, Saints and Steelers. I don't know what to say about that game.
Let's go Saints.
I got the Steelers winning, man. They're at home. But it depends what Saints team you're going to get. Like one week they look like, wow, okay, where'd that come from? And then the next week you're like, oh yeah, they're back to the Saints again. Like you just flip a coin this week what they're going to be like.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Tomlin's got this ridiculous record after the bye.
yeah. But he's also the defense is kind of banged up too. Like Fitzpatrick's not playing today for him. I know there's a couple other guys out too, so I think see how long it does. So see how well, but I don't see him going up to Pittsburgh and winning. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they are playing outdoors. It's going to be cold. Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of those games where the Steelers can take one and get the rookie his first victory.
yeah. So
all right, I think that pretty much covers the South.
is he froze again?
I think he froze again. We're just going to move on. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go head west and briefly talk about the West. Okay, the West. We've already obviously discussed the Seahawks and Bucs. I don't know if anything's changed in terms of the score.
No, I'm still showing 0-0 in the second.
Okay. All right. Well, anyways, let's go on to the Chargers and Niners. This is kind of an interesting little matchup because of the with the Chargers offense and the Niners. I don't know. I feel like the Niners now fully healthy coming off the bye. I think this is like the game where they're going to flex their muscle. They're going to be like, hey, don't forget about us, NFC. We're ready.
Yeah. But then you got the Chargers that, I mean, I haven't really looked, but they're 5-3. Like, you know, what? Did you finally get unfroze? But you got the Chargers that are 5-3. So, I mean, they're kind of the Chargers. Nobody's really looking at them. So it'll just be interesting this game to see what happens, especially like you said, they're coming back healthy and how they're going to play after the first game being healthy. So,
well, coming off a bye week, especially with a new player like Christian McCaffrey coming on the team, and obviously he's already shown what he can do. Can the offense look even better now, having another week to prepare without having to try to integrate McCaffrey in an offense which is new?
yeah.
I think defensively the Niners are still going to be pretty good. I mean, I'm kind of honestly shocked that the Chargers defense hasn't played well this year with all the acquisitions they got. I think this is going to be a big test for the Chargers to see where they're at. I mean, they're 5-3. They're in a division to where I think the Chiefs are going to end up running away with it anyways. But I mean, in terms of the playoffs, I think you kind of got to get this game today. And I think defensively, the Chargers have to step up.
Yeah. What do you think, Andy? I know it's not the Bears.
I think he's frozen again. Okay, this has turned into the
He's
scout.
not froze.
Doing this. You guys are doing this with teams that are not interesting.
Oh, well, don't worry. We're getting to the interesting sections coming up. So
Yeah, we'll be getting to the Lions here shortly. Don't worry.
Well, anyways, Cardinals and Rams. This is kind of the matchup where both teams need a victory. I think this is a game to where both of them truly need it if they're going to stay in it and stay, competitive for the division. Not only that, for the playoffs. I mean, both teams got their flaws. I mean, Stafford's been in concussion protocol. The Rams are pretty beat up. I mean, the Cardinals, they got Hopkins back, but they still don't look right. I mean, is this going to be a game where they get right, or are the Rams defense too much?
I don't know, dude. I thought the Cardinals would be really good this year, and that division would be pretty tight running. But I don't see them. It just, you start looking at it and you see them fighting and arguing on the sidelines with each other. The Cardinals, and I know Hopkins is back, but that offensive line's letting Murray down a little bit. I think just watching it. So,
What's up, guys?
Oh my goodness, the driver is back.
Yeah, just for a second, I just thought I'd come on and let you know you got a lot of reverb. So when you guys are talking, it's replaying like 3 or 4 times. Try muting your mics. Just see if you can trick the mic to come back on. But other than that, good show. Bucs scored 7-0 Bucs. Going upstairs. Later.
Interesting.
Yeah, we just muted our mic. He just took off.
All right. Well, anyways.
Just like, you hear me?
Yep, we hear you. We hear you. Anyways, what do we have anything?
I don't understand what the problem is.
Yeah. Do we have anything else on the games? The West. Otherwise, we'll go to where it matters.
Well, apparently the Niners will be loaded finally today, and should be interesting to see them dominate in prime time. That's kind of the problem, though, because my interwebs are acting up severely. But as far as the 49ers, it's they're going to be fuller strength. They're going to be a lot healthier, but they're still led by Jimmy G. Who's of course going to when the going gets tough. 2 yards away. 2 yards away. Yeah, sorry, Jerry. Yeah. All we really care about is Bears, Detroit, Bowl. They're winning the Stanley Cup. Everything.
Well, why don't we just let's roll north. Surprise.
Hey, I just wanted to come on real quick and let you guys know that you sound absolutely fine, and Sidoris just has bad internet and his computer probably doesn't work. So, just wanted to let you guys know that don't worry, everything's fine. He's just ridiculous.
we got a virus. Did it get the virus? Probably went to the computer from the whole house. So
Probably. Who knows? I just wanted to let you guys know that. So,
breaking news.
yeah, it's ridiculous. So
I think that was the first time anybody's ever told me I sounded fine. So I'll just take it and hold that away. Can we keep this recording? I just want to keep it.
We'll find it. But hey, Jerry, since you're on,
yeah,
give us some 49er points today.
they're going to be loaded today. Should be pretty interesting to see him playing prime time with finally all the weapons on the field. Basically making Jimmy's job a lot easier. All he has to do is distribute the ball and let the guys go.
Not step out of bounds.
Yeah, well, back in the end zone. I mean, who really knows that that's there? I mean, it's tough, I don't blame him.
You got any thoughts on the Rams Cardinals, or you just
why?
No.
I don't watch high school games.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
I don't watch the preschool games where Murray's running around with his head chopped off. So yeah, we don't watch those games.
That was pretty funny. Whoever made that was.
It's spot on. That's exactly what he looks like. But yeah, you guys sound fine. Keep going. Don't listen to Sidoris. He's probably outside playing with a gutter knife or something.
Well, okay. Comment on that.
Yeah. Yeah. As he's upstairs watching the Bucs, going, "No Bucs." Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Jerry.
Guys. I'm out.
Later. Okay, as you see, Mike Sidoris' comment right there, Murray may be out. That will completely change that game, obviously. But, again, that's a high school game, right?
Yeah. There's a couple of them this week.
So
Yeah.
you're
That's a good transition right into the
you're gonna be
north.
able
You
to
got the
change
Bears and
the
Lions playing.
Well,
Did you
hold
hear
on,
that,
because if
Trent?
Murray is out, you're going to go basically from scrambler to a pocket passer.
But there's this too.
So yeah, and that's actually I think one of the things I was reading is the fact that they might actually be two backups actually starting for the game, and that actually does actually lend itself to what your talent pool is going to end up being. So do the Cardinals have more talent? Do the Rams have more talent? It just depends on how that's going to end up working out. Personally, I think it's going to be it might end up being the Cardinals. You might think that Kyler Murray, in fact, all of his scrambling and running, he might be opening up things, but he also might be hindering the process. Who knows? You can't necessarily finish your routes if you have to all of a sudden come back and actually get the ball. So maybe we'll actually kind of cohesively, be able to protect a pocket passer as opposed to somebody who's going to be, running. Or it very well may be that, Kyler Murray is that link to that entire situation. So I think the Cardinals may pull it out, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Rams ended up winning. So,
well, this is kind of like how we were doing the who's what defense is better or what offense is better, like what we did before the Super Bowl last year. This is kind of one of those scenarios, in my opinion, is like if you put in both backup quarterbacks, now you start saying, okay, you're looking at personnel on the field. Like honestly, between the Cardinals and Rams, whose offensive areas are better? Like in terms of players, I mean,
right, exactly.
And then you got to flip it around and go, well, whose defense is technically better?
Yeah,
exactly. So if you have a pocket passer, if you give him time, he might be able to actually do some stuff, which means that your tight ends, your wide receivers, your running backs are going to have to get into the mix. And is whose backup is better in the. Yeah, that might be a bit of an issue, but it might be his breakout game where he's running for 176 yards.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? That might be just a game where you kind of want to, even if you got red zone or whatever, you kind of want to just keep it on red zone to see what happens, because it could be one of those games to where if both defenses are playing well, it could be one of those what kicker is going to kick the most field goals in the game. I mean, there just isn't going to be a lot of scoring. There's weird games where both defenses play like crap because they don't know the backups, and then the next thing you know, it's a track meet. So
yeah.
Could be.
I think it'll be a low scoring game.
Offensive. That's a possibility too. Then who's got the better coach?
I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. I mean, I like the Rams coach because I think Cliff Kingsbury is just one of those guys that are I think he's on the hot seat, to be perfectly honest. Starting 2 years in a row, having especially last year, we start 8 or 9-0, and then an injured Packer team came in and beat them.
Yeah.
And they fell off a cliff.
But with a name like Cliff Kingsbury, you can't go wrong.
Well, I think he's one of those that I thought it was a okay hire by the Cardinals, but he's one of those college coaches that came in. Nobody really knows what he's doing. So he could sneak up on you the first 3 years of the stuff he's doing, but once the teams figure out what he's doing, he doesn't change. He keeps it the same. That's why they picked Kyle Murray. That was the reason, because it matched his offense. And it's one of those okay, now if Murray's out, and you have a backup, is the backup even close to Kyle Murray being able to scramble, or is he a pocket passer?
Right.
Then what's Kingsbury going to do? You're going to make a guy that's a pocket passer roll out and throw a ball? I mean, that's one of the see what the adjustments he does when he has to. Because that's the thing. It seems like he doesn't adjust. Like he just runs the same plays. When I have seen the games that he just runs his offense, and that's what he's running. And if you stop it, I guess you stop it. Like it just doesn't seem like there's anything much to it, anymore. So,
but do you think the Rams defense is going to be able to stop the prolific offense of a Kingsbury run offense?
I don't know. The Rams defense against the run this year hasn't been very good. I mean, if you have a good run offense against the Rams, what you do is run it. Like, we'll see how well he does.
And I think it's still 7-0.
It's still 7-0.
So, well, I just think I think that game will end up becoming very interesting if both backup quarterbacks are in there. But in terms of the Kingsbury thing, like I said, I believe he's on the hot seat. But here's the thing: this is my last comment on it. If you take Kingsbury out as head coach, will any head coach really want Kyler Murray as their quarterback? Has Kyler Murray proven anything that he is your franchise quarterback?
Probably just Saturday.
Oh my God!
Oh God! Don't get that started in this house.
Colts. That's another conversation. Well,
Somebody's super excited about that hire. I was just say she is very excited about that hire. Let me just say. So that was one of her favorite players. So she's super excited about it.
Brian Sandwich.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Jerry threw us for a loop, so we did a fake out in the north. But let's go. Anyways, we've got the north. Let's start with Bears Lions.
They're playing today?
Yeah.
So the Bears have actually done some good things already. They haven't even played the game. Byron Pringle's coming back from injured reserve. So you have the potential for at least another 300-yard, game right there. They elevated defensive line, Jerry Green, and defensive back Harrison Hand to active roster. Tigers to practice squad. So you were team last year. And so what ended up happening, he, of course, didn't make the regular roster. And so, it's just one of those things where you got to hope that he actually does well enough that he's going to be able to actually, not only make the practice team, but eventually someday maybe even make the regular team. Now, as far as like injuries, you really only have one person out, and that's actually Vildor. He's, of course, cornerback. He's out with an ankle injury. You have several others are unspecified or questionable. For the Bears, that is. Let me see. Questionable is Jalen Johnson, cornerback. He's got an oblique injury, so that's questionable. And if you look at Detroit is actually still kind of the walking wounded. You have everything from Josh Reynolds, who's out. You've got Matt Nelson, doubtful. Kirby Joseph. Chase I'm sorry, I'm not even going to attempt that poor guy's name. Malcolm Rodriguez. They're all going into Detroit. You have what's oddly enough the Bears prolific offense going against a defense which actually isn't that bad. They're not great, but they're not too bad. So if the Bears actually continue with their running ways, you have a scrambling quarterback now and a guy who's for some reason been able to find some of the guys downfield. I think the Bears might end up pulling this out rather handily. Detroit, of course, they like playing they do like playing the spoiler, so you never know with the Bears are kind of on that upswing to where You got good things that are coming. You see the good things that are coming. You see next year we have several draft picks and all kinds of money under salary cap. As long as they don't do what the Bears have done in the past, if the Bears don't do what the Cubs done, they can literally make some serious noise on the North. Finally, of course, when you're taking the reins from that other old quarterback there in Greener Bay, in Cheeseville. Where are they driving to? The bottom, the basement.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
I think the Bears are going to end up pulling this out. I think the Bears are going to end up pulling this out. So yeah.
I think the key of the
if you
game.
Want to go to the, if you want to, what's that?
I don't know what he was saying. Anyways, I think the key to this game, Andy, is will the Bears run and continue to run against the 31st worst run defense in the league? And and will the defense and Eberflus actually put pressure on Goff, because Goff is horrible under pressure?
So two things. Now, you see in the last couple of weeks, unfortunately, the Bears are scoring thousands of points, but unfortunately, they're also giving up thousands of points and one, because they've actually lost the last two games. Last week's game, of course, you had some of the referees come out and basically they stated, yeah, okay, our bad, that kind of thing. And I guess it's I guess comforting the fact that there were several plays that actually could have actually went the Bears' way, and they could have actually pulled last week out. With that being said, that actually gives you a nice, bright, shiny feeling, knowing the fact that, you're going to come in, face a team that's actually struggling worse than even the Packers. And chances are they're not only going to run on them, but may have a very, very good day. Lenny Bucs? What a weird name. That poor kid. He must got bullied as a school child.
I think
the Bears have an opportunity. They have an opportunity to actually do some really good things. Probably another 30-plus points.
I agree with you. I think also you're taking the Lions out of a dome, and the weather in Chicago is supposed to be a very blustery, I think 34 degrees with intermittent snow flurries. The wind is kind of kicking a little bit around here. That's just all going to make it, they say, get them in bear weather, take a team from indoors or from the warm, get them in bear weather. Well, the last time you saw Jared Goff in Chicago in cold weather, the Bears beat him rather handily. Yeah, I see the same thing. I think the Bears will put up a lot of points, and just it all depends on what great offense comes. What they bring. And he's froze like in
yeah. Well, look, I think if they run the ball, they win. Pretty much. So,
but Justin Fields, I will say this: he looked, at least in the last 3 weeks, he looks real good.
oh God, I love it. I mean, the one thing that I did want to say though, like with Fields, I did think it was hilarious last week when he didn't listen to Mike McDaniels about stop running. I thought that still thing's hilarious. So that cracks me up. And then, the refs, like on to Andy's point about the refs, talking about, they missed some calls, but, like I said last week, in Chicago, it's okay to mug people. So, I mean, the refs just thought it'd be okay,
That was a very horrible call last week. I was even going, oh my goodness. They totally they didn't want the Bears to win that game.
No. But I think if the Bears run the ball against Detroit, I think it's, I think they pull it out. So,
well, let's hit up the other North game before we get to Cowboys Packers. We're going to do the Vikings and Bills.
This is gonna be a good game, man. Hey,
$1 million question: is Josh Allen going to play?
yep.
I mean, I think that's going to be huge, in my opinion.
It's gonna be huge, and that Vikings defense is starting to look pretty good. Like the past couple weeks, they've been, getting turnovers, causing fumbles. They're not getting, run on as much as they were before. So it'll be interesting. I know I took them in the pick 6 this week, but I was going to take them for the rest of the year. So this one was a hard one for me to pick. So
I think Andy's reserved to chatting right now.
yeah,
Can you talk yet?
he's been able to talk. It just what if it comes through.
Yeah. You're right though on the Vikings. The Vikings seem. I'll tell you what, the biggest acquisitions they made was when they got Ladarius Smith as a pass rusher, and when he's healthy, he can wreck a game. And then when they got Hockenson at the trade deadline, I thought that was so smart. I'm like, now you pair him up with Jefferson, Thielen, you've got Dalvin Cook as your running back. It's like, oh my, Cousins, you've got yourself a squad. It'll be interesting to see how Hockenson comes into this game now with another week to learn the offense, to see how he's going to be used. Because I really think he's going to be, especially against the Bills defense, he may be more of a safety valve for Cousins today. But I do think that the Vikings and Dalvin Cook need to establish a good run game against the Bills. And if you noticed the last 2 games, the Bills have been getting run on, which is not typical of a Bills team. So this game's going to be interesting. I mean, if the Vikings do end up pulling this one out, you've got to consider Minnesota a threat for the NFC.
Yeah, and I'm going to go back with what you said about using him as a check down or, the safety valve. He they were using Thielen for that for a while, and I think that was their biggest problem, was they were using one of their receivers as a check valve, and whatever was going on with their tight end stuff, they weren't, what was happening. So them making that move, for them, that was probably the biggest move in the NFL, is them making a move to try to make themselves better than they already were, So now you got Thielen and Jefferson out there now being able to run their actual routes. It's going to be hard for defenses. You open them up and start running pass plays. Now you can run the ball. What, Andy?
So my question is, can you hear me? Is everything seem to be better now?
Yeah.
Yes, much better.
All right. Well, I went to my cell phone, so I didn't get to hear a lot of what you guys were talking about. It's probably a good thing, because if it wasn't about the Bears, it doesn't matter.
Basically, we're talking about like Minnesota's offense, how with the acquisition of TJ Hockenson, and especially in this game against the Bills defense, Hawkinson's going to be more of the safety valve instead of Thielen.
So, of course, shout out to my alma mater, UCF. They, of course, won yesterday. But anyway, you also have several UCF players on the Buffalo Bills, in particular, Gabe Davis, a wide receiver, who I think is going to have a banner day today, as a matter of fact. The Minnesota defense is good, but again, it's not great. You can kind of see where they're going with certain things, and they have some personnel to be able to pull a few things. Cool. But if you actually give that kid quarterback out there in Buffalo, Allen, if you give him any time, he's going to be able to find some of his receivers. I think Minnesota very well may have a bit of an issue with the Bills today, because I think it's in Buffalo, correct?
Yes.
So they're both relatively cold weather teams. One plays indoors, one plays outdoors. I just think the Bills are probably going to end up pulling it out today, for the sake of, first off, the North, because the Bears, of course, can use some help. Everybody can use some help against Minnesota, and the Bills, of course, in order to be able to keep their hopes alive for the year. So But with last week's performance, Kirk Cousins with his post-game performance, it does kind of endear you to the guy. It really does. Like, okay, Mr. Joe Straight he can kind of unwind a little bit. But if he was in any other division, cool. But unfortunately, he's got to be in the same division that that we're in currently. So
what? So who do you got in this game?
well, I definitely got the Bills. Bills by 60.
You give no chance to the Vikings.
The Vikings certainly have a chance. Buffalo's defense, especially in colder weather, I think is probably going to end up being a little bit better in this particular. So it might end up being 27-23, that kind of thing. You're looking at a 4-point difference, 4 or 5 point difference between the two teams, and I think Buffalo's going to end up pulling it out. So.
Now is that also under the assumption that Case Keenum's their quarterback for the Bills?
In Minnesota?
No, for the Bills.
Oh,
that's Josh Allen's backup.
That's
Yep.
right. Case Keenum is actually not too shabby of a backup. He's kind of like Andy Dalton in certain situations, but like the good Andy Dalton, not the Bears Andy Dalton. So as long as you give him time, and their offensive line, the Bills' offensive line, has been pretty decent this year. Even their running backs have been able to block pretty well. So if you give Case Keenum some time, he should hopefully be able to find an open receiver. So, and their running game is decent. Yeah, so there you go. So, Josh Allen.
Also, this though.
Yeah, could be, but I still got Buffalo over the Vikings.
Yeah, I think Buffalo wins by a field goal.
Yeah, okay.
And then this is how we know our usual driver is hopped up on meds.
Yeah.
Because he's got to make that comment.
Yeah. There was always something wrong with him, but when he's on meds, it makes it even worse.
Right. All right. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and play the East opening, but we all know what game's coming up next.
Hello.
What, Andy? What were you going to say?
Rude.
What were you going to say?
Oh, sure, no. No. If by chance Mike Zador's is on meds, that's when he's going to finally start making sense. It's just one of those things.
Oh, boy.
And my answer to Mike or Sador's, so.
Yeah. I mean,
well, anyways, let's get to the game I'm not looking forward to watching. Mike McCarthy's return to Lambeau to take on the Pack.
well, it's just one. It's cold. I mean, we keep on talking about the weather. I mean, so we got to go up to Green Bay. Last time it was cold, we went up to Green Bay. The ref screwed up a call. It was a catch. It's been proven it was a catch. But I don't know. This whole cold weather thing cracks me up. And I just want to hit this real quick. Like, I think it's funny when, there are teams that have issues with going to cold weather. It's kind of been proven over the facts. But I watched third graders playing a blizzard yesterday down here. And I don't want to hear nothing about no more weather with pro athletes. Like, no. So, and I watched fifth and sixth graders do the same thing yesterday. So, it's going to be interesting, and quit putting his comments up. If he's good enough to do that, he's good. If he's good enough to do that, he's good enough to come on. I say we just leave. No more listen to him.
Mute button. There we go.
Is this the same guy that talks about the Bucs Super Bowl 2 years ago? I mean, we're bringing up past stuff. Yeah. So
there were a lot of things that were going on 2 years ago. The Bucs might have won the Super Bowl. Brady was married.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know, man. This this game's going to be interesting. The Packers, I mean, McCarthy coming back, and the Cowboys seem all in with him about how good of a coach he is and all the stuff that I'm reading, like all the players, and him going back to Lambeau and the way the Packers defense is. I mean, we've been saying it all year. I mean, we just run the ball. There's no need to throw. I mean, you're going to have to throw a little bit, to keep him honest. But, I mean, Zeke's coming off. Who knows if they're going to let him play full. But I think Tony Pollard showed the NFL that he could be an NFL starter. And that's my biggest worry, is that we're going to lose him in free agency, So.
Well, let me ask you this now. So, with Mike McCarthy's familiarity with like all the players, in particular Aaron Rodgers, do you think that's going to be any sort of a factor?
It might be, but Dan Quinn knows the Packers really well too. So, I mean, he's played against them before, and I think McCarthy will have a little insight, which is always good to have. But I think Dallas doesn't really have to change anything they've been doing. So, I mean, their defense have been playing good. I mean, it always helps if you have an inside advantage, though. You know what I'm saying? So
the only thing the Cowboys have to change is to not suck.
Yeah. They don't suck, though. So, I mean, we're not the Bears. I mean, we beat your almighty Bears that you talk about all the time, didn't we? I'm pretty sure.
But do you think the Cowboys? Do you think? We always know you're a butt guy, but anyway, you got to think that the Bears of the last 2 or 3 weeks are different from the Bears of the Dallas game. So, I mean, do you see that? And you can even agree that there is a little bit of a transition there. Do you see that the Bears actually would have lost the way that they're playing today, as opposed to when they were playing, when they played Dallas the first time?
Yes, they would have lost, and that's enough for the Bears talk.
Oh, the Cowboys would have lost? No, I agree. The Cowboys probably would have lost.
So, I mean, Brian, what are you thinking? I know you've been pretty disappointed this year.
Oh, disappointment is. I mean, I've already given up. Let's just put it that way. I am just reading the injury list, and no offense, I don't know how the hell we're even fielding a team. I mean,
not effectively or well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a big loss when Rashawn Gary went down with the ACL. So now you take away one of their best pass rushers, tacklers, possible run stopper. He's gone. Their cornerback Eric Stokes just got put on IR. So now you're down a man there. Romeo Doubs, who's been, in my opinion, could be the Packers' best receiver this year. He's out 2 to 4 weeks. You've got, Sammy Fragile Watkins, who's been limited at practice all week. You still got Randall Cobb still out. Lazard finally is starting to get healthy, but he's completely underperformed. I mean, the list goes on. Aaron Jones is playing beat up. I just don't see any kind of a possibility that the Packers will come out and even give the Cowboys a game. I mean, I think in this, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I would not be the least bit surprised to hear boo birds at Lambeau today. And that's a rarity.
If there is a bit of an issue like with the offense and stuff like that, if you give Aaron Rodgers enough time, he might be able to find Devontae Adams in the
And that was a couple other things. I was watching highlights of last week, and they were showing how, a normal throw that he would make with under a little bit of pressure with his check valve, the dude was sitting there wide open in the middle of the field and didn't even throw it to him. Like, I don't know. Something's not making sense there. Like I know he's not happy. He could say whatever he wants, but he ain't happy.
Well, I said it a couple weeks ago. I think he's playing completely uninspired football. Like you look at his mannerisms, his facial expressions, everything. He looks like he doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to do this. And when he's supposedly your leader and he's doing that, of course, bad things are going to happen. I mean, there's no way, in my opinion, there's no way they should have lost to Detroit, and they did. And especially for a guy that's usually when the Packers get in the red zone, they're scoring touchdowns. And when you throw 3 red zone interceptions, and especially looking horrible throwing them, that's a sign. That's a sign that says this guy is not with it. He's not ready. You know, he can complain all he wants about he has no rapport with the receivers or, you know, whatnot. I mean, the dude had a chance before the preseason to get to know the receivers and to show up to, you know, all the camps and stuff like that. But he was too busy at the paper counter counting his money. That's what he was doing.
No, in jeopardy.
And that, yeah.
Yep. So 2 points. So first off, you know, with the fact that what was I reading? The fact that I guess there's been some infighting, or there's been some back and forth with some of the players and Aaron Rodgers in the locker room itself.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, but with him and the potential desire to actually want to leave Green Bay, first off, it's Green Bay. No, but you know, you might even have the case where, you know, if by chance you're a supposed leader for the past, you know, 15, 18, 30, 40 years, not Brady. But if he's actually starting to lose the locker room, you know, that should give you a moment of pause right there. Be like, okay, so what exactly are we doing or not doing, or whatever the case is, that's actually allowing this situation to develop and to continue, and really to kind of create a bit of a toxic situation, which very well may end up being, at the end of the day, what's actually going to cause the Packers, to have that major negative season. You know, because the North, as we've discussed before, is not the strongest division, you know, in the NFL. So if you have your juggernaut team as being the Vikings, who have a decent team, don't get me wrong, but the Packers, of course, traditionally been like the powerhouse within the North, and they've actually done well until you get into the playoffs. But what exactly is happening that you've actually really lost pretty much everything? Is it a coach, the quarterback, the offensive coordinator?
Well, I'll tell you what, everybody's getting heat up there. And I can tell you, and you say, well, what is the answer? What is the solution? And actually, this is a good question right here. This is a very good question. Just because as recently as, I believe, Thursday, Rob Domofsky, who is a beat writer for ESPN up in Green Bay, wrote an article about if the Packers do not look good against the Cowboys, not being this is a good team or whatever, and Rodgers especially doesn't look good, do not be the least bit surprised Rodgers is benched for the rest of the year to look at Jordan Love to see what he has.
Because the answer to that question that Mike just posted, yes, Love is always the answer. As far as Jordan Love, I don't know about that. But, yeah, I mean, you know, what else are you going to do with him? And now is Aaron going to retire? He does have his second career as, you know, the Maybelline spokesperson, Levi Jeans.
Well, supposedly there is a out in his contract after this year that they can mutually agree to pass on an option that would supposedly help the Packers in terms of the salary cap. Now, and if that's the case, then there's a certain date that I believe it's June 1st or June 2nd, that if the Packers wait until after June 2nd to trade Aaron Rodgers, they get some relief. So otherwise, if Aaron were to outright retire, I think they would be on the hook for some insane amount of money, which you don't want that to happen either. So there's got to be some talk between the front office and Aaron to try and resolve this. And I think if Aaron is that motivated to get out of Green Bay, he's going to have to look at both angles here to say, hey, don't screw the organization that just gave you 150 guaranteed. You know, work something out. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, but how pissed off is he too? Is he to the point to where, yeah, screw it, I don't give a shit? You know, you don't know which one you're going to get half the time.
Right.
You know, anymore. Like, you knew who he was before, but these past couple of years, you don't. So, but.
So where do you see him going if by chance he does get a trade? Indianapolis? Everybody seems to be going there. You know,
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what, the two teams that I believe would possibly theoretically do it, one resides in Tampa if Brady leaves because they've already got talent. They just need a guy. But the other one that was mentioned was San Francisco, and that would be where Eric's from.
Yeah,
That does make a lot of sense, but
that's not going to happen now.
there's several reasons.
Yeah.
But see, okay, so here's the thing, though. So if you're looking to upgrade from like a Brady, or at least I guess whatever lateral move, I don't even know what you'd want to call it, because obviously Brady's had a little bit more success than Aaron Rodgers has, but age-wise and things like that, you're not really getting for example, like a Kyle Trask.
Right.
Indeed. So if you're looking at somebody who's 24, 25 years old as opposed to somebody who's 37, 38 years old, and you've had success in the past, but that does not necessarily guarantee success for the present future. San Francisco, maybe he'd want to go back to California. He went to school in California. I think he still has a place out there or something. I don't even know. California dreaming, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I just think today's going to really show a lot. I think you might find the actual, I guess, ending of the season today as the Packers know it. And you might see the end. It might be the end of Aaron Rodgers this year. I really think there's a strong possibility that's going to happen.
And as bad as Dallas is, everybody knows they're a horrible team. But as bad as they are, the Packers, unfortunately, at this point, are actually worse. So I don't necessarily see that being a good game for the Packers. And so you might end up having to go with a Jordan Love, or you might end up going with, Aaron all of a sudden, has come up with some sort of mystery injury that is going to sideline him for the rest of the year.
Right.
All right. Well, we get done talking about you guys' stuff because, we're talking about one of the best divisions in football right now. And you could say the Cowboys suck, but their record says otherwise, unlike your Bears.
Well, like your Bears.
The rest of your division, do we really need to talk about the other games? Because, to me, I think there's clear-cut winners in both.
Well, yeah. The Giants playing the Texans. I think they're playing at home. Texans are coming up, to New Jersey. They're not in New York. They're in New Jersey. I wish they just changed their name already. That still bugs me. It drives me nuts, dude.
The Dallas Cowboys when you're in Irving.
And they're in Arlington, but okay, whatever. They're in a completely different state, dude. I don't care.
Oh, the Irving.
So you're gonna be the Arlington Bears. Or you're gonna still be the Chicago Bears when they move.
Hopefully, the Arlington Heights Bears.
Yeah, they won't do that.
And the Eagles should handle the Commanders.
They should. They should. But again, like I keep on going. The NFC East is back to where when it was a tough division, and it don't matter if a team's 1-6 or the Commanders are 4-5. They're usually rough games. They're tight, close games. Most of the division games are like that. But I don't see the Eagles losing. I just don't. I think it'll be probably a pretty good game in the first, second quarter, and then it's going to get blown out in the second half. So you think the Eagles are going to take the Cowboys in the playoffs or in the division series? No.
Really? Legitimate question.
No, I think what we saw their first meeting, I think it was one of those home field advantage type deals. It goes with this division because if you look up the past, usually when they're really good like this, usually home field advantage is a big difference in this division. So I still think Dallas has something, but of course you have Mike McCarthy as head coach, and who knows what he'll do. So, that Eagle game kind of got out of hand because I think some coaching decisions and not controlling what needed to be done, and that goes on the head coach. So, but I think they both make the playoffs. I don't think the Eagles go undefeated either. I think they end up losing a couple games this year. I think one of them be Dallas at home, and but I'm just happy we're the best division in football, and you guys all suck. It's kind of nice to turn this thing around for a little bit.
Oh, it won't last. But you also got to think
It
that home
doesn't.
field advantage. The concept of home field advantage is one of those things that doesn't necessarily play true throughout the course of the divisions. Clearly, the Bears didn't have home field advantage with the rest because there was a few calls that were clearly. But I just think that Dallas is going to beat the Packers because the Packers just aren't a very good team this year. And then when it kind of sort of counts, the Cowboys are going to fold just like always.
I don't know. That's $1 million question, I think, how the Cowboys will finish the season. And honestly, I think you're right. I think that is $1 million question. Will McCarthy be the coach after this season with all the rumors going around? So,
Yeah.
well, anyways, speaking of $1 million, I'm going to make you some money. Real quick. Money making situation. Find your couch change. Take the Cleveland Browns plus 3.5 at Miami. Take the Tennessee Titans minus 2.5 over Denver. Take the Chicago Bears minus 2.5 versus the Detroit Lions. And you want to take the under 42.5 of the Colts Raiders because that game's going to be a damn joke.
If you wanted to actually make some money, you could have came out with some of the winning lottery numbers, especially after that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, speaking of winning, let's go to pick six. Now, I don't have the records in front of me, but I thought I was still in first.
You are. Unfortunately.
Really?
I'm nipping on his heels, though. He got me last week. We were tied for a little bit, and past 2 weeks, he's had me by one game. So
Well, that's all right. Well, I will go over Jerry and Sidoris' picks. Jerry took the Giants, Bucs, Eagles, Niners, Dolphins, Chiefs. And Sidoris took the Falcons, Vikings, Titans, Chiefs, Giants, and Cowboys. So I will go ahead and just give mine and let you two talk. I took the Dolphins, Giants, Chiefs, Cowboys, Eagles, Niners. And yes, I picked against my team because they suck. So I don't know who wants to go next.
Go ahead.
all right. Well,
Or that way.
here I got the Cowboys, Chiefs, Dolphins, the Giants. I try to mix it up so we wouldn't all get the same. So I did the Steelers and like for the rest of this year, regardless of what happens for my buddy, I'm gonna take the Vikings to win. So hopefully got some good luck with that.
So I am going to have to go against you. Got the Bills. Obviously, the Bears. I reckon we're going to have to go with the Cowboys just simply because, Green Bay, like I said, is not having a very good year. So, Eagles who are going to actually win that division, the 49ers, and, of course, the Chefs.
The Chefs. And if anybody's wondering, it's still 14-0.
Yeah. Did we all take the Cowboys? Usually when we all take a team, it doesn't work out for us. So I'm kind of nervous now.
I'm
Well,
looking. Jerry didn't take the Cowboys.
Okay, good. Well, that's not surprising.
With the Packers and their injuries, and not to mention their influx, I don't necessarily see them being able to. Although any given Sunday, I suppose.
Yeah. So, do we got any final words as we end this show? The roller coaster it was.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll make it real quick. Go Cowboys, and all your divisions suck, and the Bears suck even worse.
Haters gotta hate because he knows that the Bears are going to be hoisting that trophy in the next, for the next decade straight.
All right. Well, this has been another wonderful episode of the Krewe NFC Roundtable. Thank you for checking us out. You can check us out on Facebook and Twitter, and we're also on Let's Talk About Sports. Have a good day, everyone. Wrong one.